This is Fourth Quarter Labs, where performance isn't just defined by what happens on game day, but by the discipline, mindset, and work that happens when no one's watching. I'm Robert Johnson, and here we talk to athletes, leaders, and everyday high performers chasing something more. Welcome to Fourth Quarter Labs. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are my own and do not reflect the views, positions, or policies of my employer, its affiliates, or any organizations with which I am associated. This podcast is produced independently and is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Welcome to Fourth Quarter Labs. Today we are meeting with Hongwei Liu, the founder and CEO of Mappedin. Welcome, Hongwei.
Thanks, Robert. Great to be here.
I will admit, Hongwei, I have been looking forward to this recording and this podcast since we started texting about it a month or so ago. You and I've known of you for a very long time because I spent the beginning of my career working in the mapping and digital signage space almost 20 years ago, 20 years ago. And I would compete against Mappedin and your products and services against some of your now major clients like Simon Property Group. I remember I personally flew out to Indianapolis and met with them 15 years ago or so. And we ended up losing that deal to Mappedin 15 years ago. So this is a very, very full circle moment for me and for you. Our relationship over the last kind of 5-6 years has evolved a lot as well.
Yeah, my condolences, Robert. Patrick Flanagan's a really great customer. So I'm sorry to do that to you. But
yeah,
I think you're doing just fine.
I know, and I know Patrick as well. Yeah, I know Patrick as well. I bumped into him at a handful of trade shows and stuff over the years. So good guy. But in all the stuff we're going to talk about today, I recently, I follow Mappedin, and I recently read an article that I didn't know about you. So great fun fact, and you can validate this. You actually started Mappedin while you were in college, or was a college project or a master's program. Tell me a little bit about that, and maybe you can segue into just the history of Mappedin.
Sure. Yeah, that's first year university, undergrad. So it was as a side project. The slightly longer version of the story is that I went to the University of Waterloo, and it's known as an engineering school. So lots of good engineers walking around. But I applied for this residence called Velocity, which at the time nobody really knew about, but it was this startup residence, hacker residence, if you will. And back in 2011, that wasn't very cool. No one was trying to do that. So I went for the air conditioning. My residence didn't have any AC. That one did. So I told a good story, and I said, please let me in. And then you play ball, right? So in the first week or so, the director at the time, Jesse Rogers, says, look, you're all here. You said you wanted to do something, so do something. Build something this weekend. It doesn't have to be a business. It probably won't be a business, but just build something that you think would be cool to show off to everyone else here. And the concept that we came up with was not a very original one. It was, Google Maps the indoors. Let's help people find stuff on campus. And we built a very hacky prototype for that. And that was the genesis of it. We spent the next maybe 10 months or so while in school and on work terms, just working on it on the side, not very hard, weekend project here and there, until the local shopping center general manager happened to take a meeting with us. Like it was, a favor from a friend, and she became our first customer, and I dropped out of school the next day.
Really? You dropped out of school?
Yeah. Well, rather, I'm deferred. As far as the University of Waterloo is concerned, I am deferred from my engineering education.
That wasn't a part of the article talking about how you are. I'm just going to joke and say a college dropout. That is even better. I love it.
Yeah. No, and it turns out I still get all the alumni packages and please donate money. They don't care either. They really don't mind. You just have to do stuff.
Incredible. Very cool. And so that was 2011. So this is your 15th year since inception, I guess. Would that make it?
Yeah. If you consider those days real work, which I kind of don't. Like I would say it was really 2012 when we took the plunge and said, all right, let's go full time at this. And also, like, full time then didn't mean what full time means now. Like I should be on vacation. I'm in paradise in LA, and I'm just on Zoom until 5 p.m. today. So like it's a different kind of go now. I had to learn how to compete against guys like you in the field of sales, and that was a doozy because we were good at building stuff, And it turns out if you just build stuff, that's half the battle at best. So there was a lot to learn from there.
Yeah. That's that's so cool. So when we're gonna maybe fill in some of the gaps over the 15 years, but I gotta fast forward to today because it just the news just dropped 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, the round of investment that Mappedin just had. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
That that's huge. How how exciting is that for you? How proud of where you are at today are you? I mean, I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Look, I really appreciate it. I mean, probably the best unexpected part of that was just how many people showed up to be happy for us. Uh, because look, for me, this is like an old reality already, right? Like we've been last year was the hard one. Last year was, I was the head of sales. I was grinding out 5 record quarters while doing this raise, which was another full-time job. And then we got her done in December. I was most burned out I've ever been. I was sick as a dog. And then, you catch your breath and we announced it in April. So by now I'm like, oh, this is just my new reality. It's all good. But I didn't I didn't anticipate how many people would pay attention. So thank you. We feel good. I mean, not just because this is we're going to talk about sports today, but I've been telling my friends the analogy that it's like we're in it's like we got into the NHL. We were an OHL team. We were the champions. Nobody cared. We thought we were doing well, but it's a small league. And now we're in the big leagues and we're playing for a bigger outcome. And I think we've earned it. I think, everyone deserves to be here, but practice was yesterday, the game's tomorrow, and that's every
Yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
so nothing's changed. It's not like, we got into the NHL and we just took a year off and had a party. It's like, you're just already there and you got to keep going. So yeah, to me, it's not like, it's not like, you just climbed a step. We were already there.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. And I'm joking, but I'm glad you're reminding me we're here to talk about sports because it's so. I could probably just spend an hour talking to you about Mappedin and the projects you're working on. I'm just maybe for better or for worse, very familiar with a lot of your clients and the projects. We'll focus on on some of your growth and success just for a little bit longer. But with all your success with Mappedin over the years, you've already alluded to it that it hasn't been super linear, right? The first couple of years aren't the same as the years now. What is something that people misunderstand about success from your perspective over the last 15 years?
So that's funny. Jesse Rogers, that director at Velocity that I mentioned earlier, him and I caught up recently, and then he posted something about our Series B as well. And he just goes, "Congrats to Hongwei and Mappedin. Overnight success, long night." Right? Because at any point on the trend line, it obviously it's squiggly. There's wins and losses, 2 steps forward, 1 step back every day. But at any point, if you look at like 1 month or 1 quarter or 1 year, anytime in the past 15 years, it's been exponential. It's just that compared to today, the past 14 years is like a flat line, right? Because that's the nature of any exponential curve if you just zoom out. So I feel like it's been hard the whole time, and now people are like, wow, that's really hard. It's like, you're trying to do what and the customers you work with. But I'll give you an example. When every new batch of colleagues joins, I tend to do like an orientation session with them, and the only thing I show them is, hey, you guys are here in 2026. You just saw our town hall or all hands slides from last quarter, and all the good things we're doing, and the kind of the strategy of it all. Let me show you the first ever all hands slides from 2013. January 2013, we had our first ever all hands slides, and I take them through it. And the highlights are, let's look back at 2012. We signed our first customer, the mall. We had 3 leads. I went on our first work trip where I, slept in a boat in the marina of San Diego Harbor because it was $30 on Airbnb. We built a product. We went on Dragon's Den, which was our Shark Tank, if you will, and we raised some money. And boy, does that look really exciting. Actually, all of that, getting a customer, getting some leads, making some money, getting some PR, that's 3 hours of the morning now.
Mhm.
So we've compressed all of 2012 into 3 hours every day. That will happen this year. And how cool is
What?
that?
Yeah.
But it felt just as hard then as it does now, right? It was so exciting then that we went from one customer to three beats, and now that's really just, you blink and that happens.
Absolutely love the way you just described that in a single morning now at Mappedin is equivalent to an entire year of Mappedin in 2012. That is such, I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I hear a lot of stories, but that is a powerful way to think about how much has happened, how much doesn't happen when you're
Yeah,
starting a company. How, and you look back on a year and you're like, we got one customer, we got one press release, and now you're doing that every morning.
I know. Well,
That,
I
that's
imagine,
incredible.
and I don't know. You're a parent, right, Robert?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so I hope to join you someday. But I imagine that being a parent is kind of like that. You have to be so excited for the smallest wins in the early days, right? Because it's big, and you know that in 10 years it's nothing. But the first time they kick the soccer ball in the right direction, man, that's exciting. Um, but it doesn't compare to what's possible. So, but it's the same principle. I mean, there's unfortunately no way to learn this thing, I think, than to just go through the suck of it. And those early days, it was like getting it was like growing up all over again, right? Getting a raw education.
Yeah. Another question. I've got one more about Mapped specifically. Again, I know a little bit about this, but for the audience, this is powerful. I know you've got a huge vision for Mapped, like where you're going, like your big audacious goal for Mapped and mapping the world and all of that. Like, can you articulate that for me and everyone? Because I know what your vision is for this company, and it's massive.
Thanks. And now we can kind of talk about it without sounding crazy because we're getting close. So so you know, if I go back to the residence days, we wanted to build indoor mapping, Google Maps the indoors, and and initially we thought the problem was about providing wayfinding applications to the mall, to the airport, to the hospital. We thought it was about apps. And then very quickly, we realized it was actually about maps because every week, each of those early customers would send us a PDF with scribbles on it saying, hey, this is wrong. Can you please update? So Santa Claus is going to be there now and Dr. Smith's just moved. And it made us realize that actually every single building in the world probably has this problem where things constantly change and then you got to keep it up to date. So I would say from an early, like pretty early on, maybe 2013 onwards, we've been consistently saying we want to map the indoors. We want a digital copy of every physical building, and we believe the way to do that is to enable all the we call them paper scribblers with love, the people who have a day job, who are like marketing coordinators, facility managers, janitors, leasing people, the people who run buildings. They don't think of themselves as map makers, but they're jotting things down. And the kind of the total synthesis of all those things jotted down is the real time map of the indoors. And our goal is to somehow work with all those people to enable them with better tools, to give them better tools, such that there can be digital maps for every building. And we're getting pretty close now. In some cases, there are city scale mandates that we have with first responders to map thousands and thousands of buildings in major U.S. cities now, so that when they show up outdoors, they know it's indoors. Globally, we've mapped 80,000 buildings, mostly large, really large, shiny ones that most people would know. And we put out those tools on our website for free, so that if you wanted to just make a map of your office or your house for some reason, you could do that. It's pretty cool to see how many people are showing up to just give it a try.
Mhm.
And now I think we can credibly say, look, there's a path forward here. We're at 1%, but there's a path to 100% now of the indoors being that.
That's cool. And now you've transitioned. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not accurate. About 5 years ago, you've got into the world of sports, right? And now sports is one of those mechanisms, which is one of the three reasons why we're chatting today. technology, business, sports, because again, I'll put you guys on a big pedestal. You guys have crushed it the last four Super Bowls in a row. You've got amazing clientele like the Seahawks and the Cowboys, and you do the Giants at MetLife Stadium, and you've got MLS teams, and I'm sure, and you've got a Formula One, the Australian Formula One track, and you've done some huge global sporting events. And please correct me if I'm wrong, you also do all of the MLB teams as well.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I'm letting you do all the talking here,
real
Robert,
small.
because sorry, I'm letting you do the talking here, Robert, because as you know, a lot of these brands are pretty sensitive about how their vendors can talk about working with them. So I'll just nod, right?
Yeah, I knew
But
it
yeah,
was out there. Yeah,
yeah,
I
we're
didn't
we're
know
we're
that they're out there.
we're really proud to be working with our clients in the sporting world. I mean, because how cool is that we get to work with these folks? I'm in LA, and I was at a really nice stadium yesterday, and sometimes you get to even go into like the boardroom where you imagine the trades are happening later on this season, and it's it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I think how we got there is they called us. That's usually how Mappedin gets anywhere. Is because we're a bunch of engineers in Waterloo, Canada, that is trying to build the best tools to make, maintain, and render maps, and we think it's a pretty hard technical problem. So eventually someone tries something else, and then they give us a call, and then I scramble the jets and show up there, well, really back the economy class, and I show up and say, hey, please use our stuff. And only now after the Series B are we trying to, I would say, make more noise about what it is that we do and how we do it well. Because until now we've sort of relied on our products to carry the day and say, look, we believe that digital mapping for stadiums, for every building, is just going to be important enough that you got to get it right. And we believe it's hard enough that eventually someone will notice us. And now with your help and with all the good work that my team's doing, I think we're we're hopefully going to get there first sometimes.
Yeah. What excites you the most about sports? Like, I'm not saying sports is the most exciting industry vertical that you have. I don't want to downplay any of the other successes, but I'm saying, like, specifically, what are some of the problems you're solving? What's really exciting about the future of sports and mapping?
Yeah, so I'll put aside the fact that one day I'll get to go to the Super Bowl and actually enjoy the fruits of my own labor. So that's exciting in the distant horizon.
Gotta be.
But yeah, I got to make some money first. So I think that one of the things that's very exciting about these sporting venues is how much they change. It's how dynamic they are. We get to work with some of the biggest airports in the world: LAX, Miami, Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, and boy, are they dynamic. The gates will change by the hour. And we thought that was pretty intense, that, you can have this, structural changes, swing gates that come out of the airports that reallocate between domestic and international. But we have, now we're starting to get into the pace of changeover where Monday night's a football game. Tuesday night is a Beyonce concert. Wednesday night is motocross. And Thursday night somehow, like they're setting up some giant fair. The dynamism of these venues and how hard the folks in those organizations work to just keep things running. It's really cool. And it challenges us as the mapping partner and what and all the things that maps power. So first you got to now capture the real-time nature of these complete rebrands within 24 hours. And then you have to make sure that all the different systems, so Monday Night Football game, the fan experience app needs to know where everyone's sitting and how to get hot dogs. Tuesday night for the concert, the concert systems need to know based on the ticket where you go. And again, that's all relevant to the map. And then Wednesday for motocross, same thing. And then, so that's all front of house. And now front of house has to be this choreographed dance that all the digital systems do, and maps is part of it to keep up with what's happening in reality. But back of house is, we've been, really, really diving into that. There's so much that happens back of house. Like I think everyone's watched the documentary maybe or heard about Disney World, where there's like an army, there's an entire city underground of people working to make these magical moments happen. I think stadiums are just like that. That's what I
Yeah.
realized. between the folks that change light bulbs, the people that clean the floors, the people that make sure that LeBron doesn't run into some, paparazzi on his way to the
Mhm.
court.
Yeah.
It's it's tightly choreographed. And the digital systems that we're building or integrating with are part of that choreography. And it's, it's addictive for my colleagues who work on it, because the importance of the work is obvious, and the pace it keeps you awake for sure.
What can you name? I know, I just know from personal experience in the world of mapping, data and integrations are like absolutely paramount to going from talking about a map to talking about a system where all of this data is being visualized. So
Yeah.
what are some of the key, can you share what some of the key like data integration points are that you guys are focused on?
Okay. So there are some things that don't change very much, right? Like the stadium seating layout for the game day, the sections don't change very much. We're starting to pull in things like the view from the seat so that you can understand, like indoor street view, if you will, what your view is going to be like from there and there. But the it's the live stuff. So on game day at the Super Bowl, depending on the ticket you have, you're allowed to park in a certain lot, enter through a certain gate, and walk a certain way. And that is ticket specific. And sometimes on game day, they'll actually want to adjust that based on some last minute decisions that people make. Hopefully not, but right. But that those levers need to exist. Uh, and so the integration there is largely with the business rules that have been decided by game day organizers, and the integrations with their brain, right? Because as they're making these decisions, they have to propagate those decisions about how different ticket holders can navigate to the ticket holders and to the wayfinding experience that they have. And so the number one integration is with people. It's with the people who run buildings. After that, though, it's kind of this Cambrian explosion right now, because now all of a sudden everything has an API. So for example, there are cases where we can live visualize where all the security guards are, right? So if you are the head of security on game day, you can see all your security cameras and you know where your staff are. So, you might have a rule that says anytime I see it, the computer vision is good enough now. You can just say, if a fight breaks out, flag it for me. And if the camera sees that a fight's breaking out, it'll put it on the map. And then you can see where is the nearest security guard that you can then immediately radio to say, I need you to get, 50 meters west because something bad's going down.
That's
And that
great.
real
The translation from just being a fight, it could be if somebody collapses or falls or an
totally
accident, heart attack, all those things with like, again, using your Disney analogy, like I know Disney also is very good at first responders. I've heard great success stories about people having heart attacks in Disney, and
totally.
their on-site EMS is so good at responding that they've brought people back to life and saved people's lives because of their response times.
I can believe it. Yeah. And what's exciting about what's happening right now is the commoditization of all this tech that used to be really, really difficult, right? Like, before, if you wanted to have computer vision models that allow you to understand if someone fell down, or more seriously, to be able to spot a firearm, those were like proprietary trained models that took, thousands of man hours, hundreds of millions of dollars in training costs just to have a proprietary model. And today it's like you grab the latest thing off the shelf that's open source, and it knows what guns look like. And you can use regular English, natural language, through an LLM to say, just to encode standard business rules. So it's exciting. Like what we're seeing is that's so exciting is you can now pull all this stuff together. You don't have to have 10 different systems, one in security, one in leasing, one in fan experience, one in maintenance, one in, yeah, I think insurance, and the first responders have one, and they all have separate systems because they all have separate functionality that's hard to harmonize and duplicate. Well, it's all one map. It's all one venue. You should have the same map that talks to all of it, but you should have the same functionality all in one place, because it's actually better if it's in one place, because you can do things like, hey, there's way too many people trying to get in gate 5 right now from fan experience. How do we shift facility operations to accommodate for that, or to at least prepare for any contingencies, right? So you want those things in one place, and to be able to integrate all that data now is getting easier than ever. And that, it makes it a lot of fun. for us. The latest idea I'll just share with you, Robert, because I think it's a great one, is we see a lot of excitement now around facility ops and maintenance. You know, if you're if you're the IT team that has to manage one of these incredibly large venues and sporting centers, the amount of stuff you have to keep track of that could break is actually pretty bewildering. And if you're the poor intern that has to go fix a panel or fix a Wi-Fi AP or fix a light bulb even, and it, someone says, "Hey, deal with that," and you have no idea who installed it, what part number it is, what's the fixture behind it, what does it look like, and for a decade there has been this thing called a digital twin that people
Yep.
have been trying to sell, as you know, into this industry. And the problem with digital twins is that they're big, they're clunky, they're incredibly expensive. And then what do you do with it? Because it's essentially like a computer model, a game model of your building. It's not the real thing. And so going back to the fact that you can now so easily integrate all these, you know, camera inputs, sensor inputs, everything has an API. There can be one map for all the different systems. You can build that digital twin without having it be a twin. It's not over there anymore. It's not a separate gaming model that's running on a supercomputer. It's just the thing in everybody's hand that is the digital representation of your building and everything that's going on. So yeah, we're excited about it. I'm sure plenty of other people are thinking about the same thing. But I think that the thing for your audience is that it's now possible to do this, and it wasn't possible before.
And there's a ton of value there. It goes from being um, a nice shiny object or a tool or something neat to invest in from a fan experience perspective to now being a utilitarian tool that you can use to drive efficiencies, decrease costs. It doesn't quite, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't quite sound like there's a huge like revenue component to it yet, but there's possibly some direct connections to decrease in costs and operational efficiencies.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about the ROI of that Disney story where EMS just gets there and saves a man's life. But obviously there is some. And yes, it's, I'm guessing that you could reduce total external IT spending by 50% already today with modern stack software, hardware capabilities and move forwards in functionality. I'm not guessing, I'm almost certain. And I think that's true everywhere, right? Like, you have a really nice background. I'm sure there's a really nice house behind it. And our homes are smart now in a way that our stadiums aren't even that smart. Or if they are, it costs 10,000 times more, right? Like, why is it that I can buy a home pod for $500, install some lights, get some switches, and my iPhone can now control the entire thing with my voice, and I know where everything is. I can track my cats on AirTags, and it just works. And the whole thing costs like what, $3,000? And if I wanted to do that in a major league stadium, I'm talking like seven
Millions.
figures minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make any sense to me because in the same way that, yeah, just about everything that used to be super proprietary enterprise, the consumer thing won't work. It's going the way of the consumer because consumer tech is that good. And iPhones are about the most secure computing device you can buy, unless you're willing to like be the Pentagon, literally. So I think there's a lot that we can now do to leverage the economies of scale and the commoditization of tech in the consumer space and bring it into the enterprise. And obviously Anthropic, OpenAI, and the AI giants are making that easier and easier.
Yeah, I've got so much more I want to talk to you about, but you just touched on something that I have to ask, like how much, and maybe keep your answer shorter here, whatever you want to share. How much AI are you actively incorporating into how you build maps, how you speed up the delivery of maps, how you optimize onboarding clients and things like that? Like how much AI, how much are you incorporating AI into your day-to-day at Mappedin right now?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I will try to keep this short. Sorry, Robert. But I think this one, we have to kind of give more because everyone says, "Oh yeah, we're AI native." Look, AI is a lot of different things. For mapping, it's about computer vision. We've been building a computer vision model, which is a type of AI for better part of 8 years now, to automate as much of the conversion from pieces of paper, floor plans, into vector maps, because the only way we can achieve our goal of mapping all of the indoors is if we largely automate that initial indoor mapping ingestion.
No,
And
and I'll
I'd
interrupt
say
you
we,
because I know you're not going to say this. If anybody knows anything about maps, one of the hardest things to do is to take somebody's chicken scratch or PDF that they have hanging on a wall somewhere and turn it into a beautiful map. And that
yes,
is
sir.
that could be a very tedious and laborious process. And that's actually was kind of a little bit of the background to my thought of the question.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, we agree with you, of course, and we've lived the same problems, you and I. So that's why we embarked on building this, but we built it with city scale in mind. And so if you go back to, I have just one venue, one stadium, this is easy. Like, we have so many tools internally now that make that initial ingestion easy. And so that's old hat for us. You can try it on our website. There's a free product that you can just experience the indoor mapping AI yourself. Um, but what's new and what will be coming soon to the freemium product is the ability to build applications around maps using AI, because the LLMs are now so good at programming, and we understand, and we have our 100,000 hours spent building apps around maps, that we've built a sandbox for ourselves now to more quickly deliver application capability to our clients. Um, Without having to expend anywhere close to what we used to do for programming. So yeah, my CTO showed up Jan 5th with half the roadmap for Jan 1 built for Q1 built by himself, which blew our minds. And now we have the whole team working this way. And now I'm seeing project managers at Mappedin that are delivering proof of concept applications for clients without having to write code, because we've built internally these kind of foundry capabilities that are both robust in its in what you get, it's production grade product.
Yeah.
But it's just natural language going in. So yeah, it's changing our lives over here.
Yeah. As a self-proclaimed map geek, I'm excited for you. I need to. Yeah, I wish I needed a map or something, but that's cool, Hongwei. This would not be a Robert Johnson podcast without asking about LinkedIn. So I feel like recently, Hongwei, that uh, maybe I'm overstating the obvious. Something has changed about Hongwei, because you've been posting now for, I'd say, about a year or two, maybe ish, kind of a little bit more consistently. But I feel like in the last even just couple months, the tone, the delivery, the introspective thoughts of what you have been posting and writing about have been a different tone and very meaningful and very introspective. So I'm curious, kind of what's going on with Hongwei, and where are you at in your maybe leadership journey, and how is that evolving for you right now? And is it being, are you publishing it on LinkedIn, or giving us a glimpse
Yeah.
to it?
So first of all, thank you for the acknowledgement. It's a lot of work, and it's taken a lot of work to get here. And Robert, you were one of the people kind of nudging me in the ribs to be like, you got to do more of this, man. Come on. And you were right. So, with respect to the change in content, I guess I haven't thought about this too much, but I guess I'm starting to believe that I might know some stuff that other people don't. And not just about maps. Like, I know a lot about maps that other people don't. I might be, I aspire to be the expert in this in the world. But in terms of how to build companies, how to build teams, how to even live a good life, I I'm doing the thinking. And like we all are, and I'm realizing finally, after 15 years and working with some of the smartest people in the world, hiring experts, would-be experts, so-called experts, and then real experts, is that I'm starting to realize I know some stuff. Everyone's figuring this stuff out. Everyone, and a lot of the frameworks that MBA professors would teach as gospel, as this is 100% correct. This is how you deal with this case. They have no fucking idea. It just drives me. It's shocking to me how confidently wrong people can be. And I think the intellectual tradition of of your country, and one of the great justices of your country was the guy named Justice Learned Hand, who said that the spirit of liberty is the spirit that is not quite sure that it is right. And I think that's always been, that's always resonated with me. But I've realized that if we are to, if the good ideas are to win, then the people who are not quite sure about them need to be as loud as the dummies who are sure about what they're wrong about. and and that's given me some gas to just put some more stuff out there. Let's say beyond just what I know to be true, certainly about, let's say, maps and technology and the things that we're working on. Um, and I appreciate that. It's resonating with some folks.
Yeah. Are you like, are you making an investment of time or character or anything like that to help maybe put a spotlight on some of these more deeper things you're thinking about in terms of leadership and how you just your reflection on the past 15 years? Is there anything you're doing right now?
I have a running, so my life is in OneNote. I have a tab in OneNote for everything. And there
Hmm.
is a tab in the sidebar for just ideas, right? And I'll be walking down the street, driving the car, in the shower, just woke up. And every now and then I'll be like, oh, that'd be a good one. And it's stuff that we've been thinking about, of course, for a long time now. It's just processing in the back, but every now and then it floats to the front. I have kind of a working filter though, which is that I have a personal blog that I've been writing much longer than LinkedIn, and I don't publish often, but everything that goes there I need to believe it's going to be true in 10 years. My filter for LinkedIn is 1 year, partly because everything's changing anyway in the world of AI. I don't think I have anywhere close to the confidence or competence to write about AI in a way that it would be true in 10 years. But, and for the blog, it needs to be novel and durable. For LinkedIn, I think it needs to be novel and somewhat durable. And I think you would agree, LinkedIn is, to some extent, you just have to be there every day. So I don't claim to have great ideas every day, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would, but it's hard.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it'd be fun to talk like specifically about how your leadership methodology or philosophy has changed over the last 15 years as you've been, you went from more than likely a kid when you started this company and you were running it to now what are you guys up to? Over 100 employees ish?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
We've
And
had
yep.
And we've had over 1,000 people flow through Mappedin, a lot of them interns, co-ops in Waterloo. But I see the HRIS number tick up, the unique employee identifier. We're four digits now. It's kind of crazy.
That's incredible. And how, like, maybe focus on the last couple of years, because I think a lot I believe a lot has changed over the last couple of years. How has your leadership style had to change, or how has it changed?
I so far I would segment it into three broad categories. In the early days, under 25 people, I was one of the guys, and I was, I was, I was in there later than everybody. I cared more, but I was one of the guys. And we would play games after work. I would be the guy trying to instigate, like, hey, what sports team, what intramurals team are we going to play this term? Ultimate frisbee, volleyball. Okay, great. You're in. I need $20 from you because Mapton's not paying for this. Like it was a communal effort. Let's say after 25 people, I kind of became the man. I became the boss. It was obvious long before then to me that there was real responsibility here. And that's why, and that's why all my co-founders have long burned out, but I'm still here because
Was that hard to start having to be the man? Was that hard for you?
almost, oh, certainly, certainly. Look, I'm quoting people not because I think I am them, but I aspire where I admire them. So Steve Jobs once said that the best managers he's ever worked with are not people who grew up wanting to boss people around, but they're people who realize that if they don't do it, somebody worse will, and their friends will suffer. And Yeah, that's why I did it. It's like I know what's on the other side of I know what the MBAs look like who would love to show up and boss people around. I know what our then seed and angel investors, what some of them would do and how they ran their companies, and I didn't want that for mine. So it was just I felt responsible to land the plane that everyone got on. The employees, the customers, the investors, and so we had to do it. And that kind of took us to 100. After 100, something weird happened because we've been at about 100 people now for like 3 years now, and after 100, I feel like you're not even the man anymore. You're a figurehead.
Hmm.
Because I you don't know everyone's names. They don't really know who you are. I'm always on the road anyway, meeting clients and others. So the people who at least know, like, this conversation and the stuff that I publish on LinkedIn might be the primary way some folks at Mappedin understand the things that I value and how I think about them and the work that we do, which is really strange. And obviously, I'm trying to make sure that internally we have plenty of forums of communication. We do, a weekly town hall, a quarterly all hands, but nonetheless, the volume of my interaction with the person who's just joining today as an individual contributor is pretty small, and so it requires me to work in a different way to be an effective leader, hopefully, and it's all part of the fun.
Is there someone who's influenced your path over the last 15 years the most?
The
Do you have a
most.
mentor? Yeah. Do you have
I learned from all you guys, like that's probably the best thing about this job is I have gotten to interact with so many people who are not usually accessible. And they're all interesting. They're all doing something really well, probably a lot of things really well. And there are seasons, right? Like, my first angel investor ran a really big company, and boy, did I learn a lot from him and the example that he and both his family were setting. And then my next investor, and then sometimes we hire a new executive or anybody, and I feel like I can learn from all of that. So it's hard to call out one in particular. Like, at any given point, I would say the person I'm currently learning from, or the people, are like top of mind, and then everyone else is like a past loved one, I guess. But it that's the hidden blessing, I think, if you embark on building things, is it turns out the world's a really nice place. Just to flip the script on that, like, if you're trying to build stuff in this world, it's pretty awesome how many people want to help you. uh,
yeah.
and like, the people that are really successful because they build stuff, it turns out they're dying to help other people. They wish there was like 10 people surrounding them being like, please teach me, because it's the thing they love anyway. So, and I think there is actually a pretty common ethic among the builders of this world to have more builders, for there to be more things built. Uh, and yeah, it's I guess not surprising if you think about it, but it's great. And I
Yep.
wish more people could feel that.
Yeah. I really appreciate everything you just said, because that has been a recent light bulb for me as well. Is as I'll say, I'll just make some broad statements here. Like, in my 20s, you know, you're young, you're insecure, you didn't want to ask for help, or you were insecure to ask for help, or you felt like you were bothering people, right? To ask for help. In your 30s, you're kind of somewhere in the middle there. You know a lot, but you're still not quite like super confident. You know everything. Now that I'm in my 40s, and I've done a lot, and I've ran a small business and all these other things, like ran teams and hired and all sorts of stuff. Now, to your point, if somebody hits me up on LinkedIn, if someone, especially someone who's young, if someone's in their early 20s, I will take the time to get on the phone with them, talk to them, answer questions about life, career, college, anything like that. I am now in this season of life of like, how much can I give back?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to any extent, right? Can't help everybody, can't solve all the problems, but man, if there's an opportunity to help anybody, that I feel
Well,
like that's the next 20 years of my life, is how much can I give back?
and look, all of us are going to optimize for who we deem worthy, right? In that give back. So like this is not just it's not Disneyland, it's not pie in the sky. Like you do have to earn it, but
Yeah.
but the intention is truly there. Exactly what you said.
Yeah. Hongwei, I genuinely think we could talk for another couple hours. I look forward to chatting with you more and more. Very excited about what you built with Mappedin. Very excited about the next couple of years, like specifically what is going to transpire and the growth, the exponential growth that you guys are just on the trajectory that you guys have with your new hire with Aaron Fullen and just the team that you've got. And, Michael, I know Michael well over there, and just, you've got a great crew.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
sounds like you've done it, but if you haven't, take a second to feel proud of what you've built, because there's people out there who are very impressed, myself included in that.
Thank you, man.
Thanks
I
for,
appreciate
and
it.
also, so you're in LA right now, you're on a business trip. Thanks for hopping on the call today and spending a few minutes with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate everything you're doing, Robert. We're on the same team. It feels like, and me, us, and everyone else who's cheering us on, and we want the same outcome, which is just like, in my case, every building mapped, but just a better world, right? Like just more good stuff to be built by people and used by people. And the thing I've had to learn, and I think I've alluded to it over the course of this call, but probably the biggest lesson is just how important communication is to the outside world. It did dawn on me pretty early. I was the least bad at talking to people among the early 3 engineers that built Mappedin. So I became the CEO, and that became my job. But boy, is that mountain still really high. And I think our colleagues in engineering, that's a lot of the translating I have to do now, actually inside the company, is just between engineering and sales, because we're climbing different mountains sometimes, it feels like. But yeah, really appreciate the work you're doing, and thank you for having me on.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Fourth Quarter Labs. If you enjoyed the conversation, please follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. Your support helps us continue sharing stories and insights from leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and high performers. We'll see you on the next episode.